Good afternoon and good evening to you all. Welcome to Monday's edition of the Full 100, the first of the week, on the eve of the US elections. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I did, quiet one. But guys, momentous week this week. UK going down into a new lockdown. Unfortunately, I'm not even touching too much on this because everybody's aware of what's going on anyway. From what I can feel in the temperature out there, I think everybody was sort of locked on this topic over the weekend. Everyone was aware something was coming, so everyone watched what was coming. So I've judged it. I probably don't need to say much more on that today. However, Wednesday's topic and Friday we'll deal with that. Friday will be the day after the lockdown begins, so we'll definitely touch on that then. Today I want to stick with the US elections because today is the eve, hopefully, of a new world. After probably going to take a few days, but I reckon we'll get an idea by Wednesday morning. So hopefully by the next time I transmit and I talk to you guys, I'll probably be doing the dance and the jig when I see you guys. Fingers crossed. So guys, look, without further ado, let's get down to today's show. Now, I've got 6 videos to play for you guys. First one's a look at the 2 candidates, so you know what you're working with. A second one is the buffoonery of this guy that's currently in power. Third one is about conspiracy theories and why this election hopefully will get rid of this sickness that we now have, this disease we have of conspiracy theories. The fourth one will take you back to 2000 when the election was stolen. And the fifth, we'll take a look at the difference between 2000 and 2020. And the last one is how I believe that we should all be looking at elections on moving forward. Okay, so guys, let me start with my first video. This is a look at the 2 people standing for election and the difference in the fabric of the people. Take a look.
Us sick physically, culturally, politically, and come to a better place.
Clear the decks for action, for we will act. We will act on the first day of my presidency to get COVID under control. We can and we will control this virus. As president, I will never wave the white flag of surrender.
They are completely going in opposite directions on this point. Trump argues just as vigorously the exact opposite. COVID schmovid sums it up. He had the White House Science Office list ending the pandemic as an achievement. Seriously, the pandemic is over? If it were any farther from over, it wouldn't have happened yet. He wants you to believe that when it comes to COVID and anything else, the cure is only one thing. You must believe only him.
Let's turn on COVID, 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 COVID. Well, we have a spike in cases. We're testing everybody. In many ways, I hate it. In many ways, I hate it. We test everybody. They use it to make us look bad.
No, you make you look bad. That's all it takes. We're testing everybody. If we're testing too much, ask yourself, why does the positive rate keep increasing? If you were testing too much, the rate of positivity should stay the same, and then you just have more reinforcement of the same data point. If you're testing too much, why are the hospitals filling up? The better question is, Mr. President, why lie? Why deny what everyone knows this country is living when you have the tools, the money, and you should have the wherewithal to do so much more? A week from the election, and here we are. And by the way, it's not the only moment of crisis. Another black man shot and killed by police in the key state of Pennsylvania. Walter Wallace Jr., the name we now must all know. Just 27, killed yesterday in front of his mom in Philadelphia. She was chasing after him, begging cops not to shoot a man who was clearly in mental distress. You don't have to believe me. There's tape. And it is so sad. You will feel yourself watching it. You can see that the police don't know what to do. They don't know how to make the situation any different from the way it's unfolding. You see the mother's desperation, and you'll feel yourself saying, don't. Just like his mother was. The Biden team put out a statement on the shooting today, an earlier pledge to act on addressing systemic racism in our country. But for Biden, the first step to dealing with the virus of racism or the coronavirus is to get a president who cares about fighting these problems.
Welcome back, guys. That's what's at stake. I personally think that with Biden coming in, they're going to take this race issue seriously. They've said it from the sidelines. There's no way they're going to go in power and not implement these things that they were talking about after George Floyd died. So race is on the ticket. Normality is on the ticket. Back to reality is on the ticket. No more insanity is on the ticket. All of this going after each other is on the ticket. And all of it by the leading country in the world. And it's sure will have an effect on all of us across the world, because it has done. All of this madness we're seeing today is down to that one guy in the White House. I want to show you a clip now that shows the level of stupidity of the person. Now, I just had a conversation on Facebook not too long ago. Young lady hoping Biden will be in jail before Trump, like Biden did anything. This guy is committing crimes every single day. And they're talking about, well, he gave up his salary. Because he's been robbing America blind is why he gave up his salary. But listen to the stupidity of this guy. This guy once thought Venezuela belongs to America. When they were having trouble in Venezuela, they were saying, can't we just go in there? Doesn't it belong to America? Well, guess what? This guy wanted to swap. Denmark owns Greenland. He tried to make a deal with Denmark, yeah, that they should swap Puerto Rico he wanted to swap Puerto Rico with 3 million US citizens for empty Greenland, yeah, because he didn't like Puerto Rico and he don't like. It's like a nation that's not white people. Why do they even belong to America? That's who's in the White House. Take a look at this.
The president's talked before about wanting to purchase Greenland, but one time before we went down, he told us not only did he want to purchase Greenland, he actually said he wanted to see if we could sell Puerto Rico. Could we swap Puerto Rico for Greenland? Because in his words, Puerto Rico was dirty and the people were poor.
All right, that's a former Trump administration official. He's now speaking out about all he saw during his time in the White House, including that President Trump liked the idea of swapping out Puerto Rico and the 3 million Americans who live there in exchange for Greenland. But wait, there's more.
Welcome back, guys. Now, my next video we'll probably explain. This is from, you see the guy who just spoke. He's an ex-Homeland Security guy under Trump. He was one of his right-hand people. So he's talking from the inside. He broke rank and said ages ago, earlier this year, I said, I've had enough of this. I can't do this no more. He's now going to explain to you why. You see, this is what I think. When people don't know stuff, yeah, whether they're rich or poor, when they're not sure about something, their minds are more likely to drift towards any kind of story about it. Trump is clearly a dumb guy when he thinks you can swap two countries over. An island that's 3 million people in 2020. It's not surprising that this guy resides in the conspiracy market. Take a look at this.
Yesterday, the president talked about his support for this kind of dark underbelly of a conspiracy network. He sounds like he likes them, even though they make up conspiracies about pedophiles, etc., because they like him. So let me play this moment for you.
Well, I don't know much about the movement other than I understand they like me very much, which I appreciate. But I don't know much about the movement. I have heard that it is gaining in popularity, and I've heard these are people that love our country.
So, Miles, do you have any sense from working with him why the president falls so often for dark conspiracy theories?
Well, look, if we've learned one lesson about Donald Trump,
It's that he thinks if something aligns with his personal interests, it is good. If it doesn't align with his personal interests, it is bad. In the case of things like QAnon and conspiracy theories, as long as they support and reinforce the president's worldview, he will embrace them with a full hug. But if someone walks into his office with a contrary worldview or something to dispel a conspiracy theory, they won't get over the threshold without a full cavity search. Okay, this president isn't interested in truth.
Welcome back, guys. You can't be surprised when you see someone from the inside. I'm not surprised to hear that, because I know what makes people more likely to listen to made up stuff. If you don't know, you're more likely to be fooled by made up stuff. It's just as simple as that. And that's the world he resides in. Now I'm going to move on to something a bit more serious now. On Friday's video, I do believe I mentioned Al Gore, or Wednesday's video, in the robbing of elections, and I've mentioned the year 2000, and Jeb Bush. The vote was stolen in Florida. Now, here is a breakdown quickly, because we've got another election coming now, yeah? So I've got a couple of videos that's gonna really take a look at the difference between when you got a normal person in power, or in these interactions, political interaction or political race, yeah? If you got a normal person, you have the outcome you had in 2000. Even though the person who was robbed could have put up a fight. So here's Al Gore. Now, Al Gore was President Clinton's vice president. So Clinton ran as president from 1994 or 92, from 1992 to 2000, because he done 2 terms, yeah? So 92 to 2000. So then his VP, his vice president, ran for election against younger Bush this time, yeah? They manipulated the election, and the outcome is what that's going to be explained in this video. So take a quick look.
Former Democratic nominee for president, who was a state away from becoming president of the United States, Al Gore, joins us now. It's good to see you, sir, as always, to remind people of what happened in 2000 with this court case. What happened was there were really 2 big points that matter for today. Obviously, the former VP knows all this. But for you at home, who may not have been around following it the way I was and he was living it, the court stopped the Florida State Supreme Court from making a ruling about Florida law, about whether or not it could recount about 60,000 ballots that everyone agreed the counting machines had missed. And it came down to 2 issues. One was equal protection, which was the state had all these different ways of doing manual recounts. The Supreme Court didn't like it. So the remedy that was prescribed by liberals on the court was let Florida, give it back to the Florida Supreme Court, let them figure out their own uniform way of counting throughout the entire state. And they said no. 5-4 ruling. Why? There's not enough time. Now, here's the interesting part of the case that we need to remember for today. And I'm sorry to go back through this, this haunting tour, but you know it's instructive for people. So, Scalia.
Guys, now you've got a bit of a background to it. I mean, Al Gore spoke. I didn't even include Al Gore's part of that conversation, because it's really not relevant. It's good to know. It's not relevant to keep this video short and sweet. So, now take a look at this guy breaking down the difference between what happened in 2000 and what's going to happen, what could happen this year. Bear in mind, there's a footnote to this. Al Gore was robbed. He didn't make any noise. The likelihood is that Trump is going to be beaten fair and square. But yet, we don't know what he's going to do. Take a look.
As in everything that makes this country what it is. Quoting the lead paragraph from his latest piece in the New York Times, there is no escaping it. He writes, America is on the ballot on Tuesday. The stability and quality of our governing institutions, our alliances, how we treat one another, our basic commitment to scientific principles, and the minimum decency that we expect from our leaders. The whole ball of wax is on the ballot. And Tom Friedman joins us now. Tom, you say that it's not just America on the ballot, that this weekend, you said, may be the, quote, last weekend of America. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I'm sitting here in my home, outside of D.C., Anderson. I'm really asking myself that question. Is this the last weekend of America as we know it? But if Biden wins a narrow victory, it's very clear what the president is going to do. He's going to challenge every single ballot in every single state. He's going to try to drag out the counting, delegitimize as many votes as possible, and he will create a situation, Anderson, where we will have something we have never had before. We will not be able to elect a legitimate successor president to this president.
What do you think the ripple effects are of that, both in the country and globally?
Well, let's start with the country. Al Gore, back in 2000, bowed to the will of the legitimate Supreme Court. Al Gore took a bullet for the country. Donald Trump will put a bullet into the country in order to stay in power. So let's start there. I think if he does, I think Democratic voters will already feel raw and cheated about the way the last two Supreme Court seats were decided and installed in the court. Already raw. If they now see Trump actually try to steal the election by contesting legitimately cast ballots, I think people will be in the streets in very, very large numbers. And eventually there'll be violence. And once it starts, there's no predicting where it can go. When you break something like this incredible system we've been bequeathed by, our forefathers, getting that toothpaste back in the tube will be really, really difficult.
Right, I'm on to my last video now, guys, and I truly think this is the most important video of all. This is from this perspective, I believe, is how we must look at politics. See, I follow French politics because who runs France affects us here in Europe, in the UK. I pay attention to German politics. I pay attention to American politics. And in Europe, the three main countries I pay attention to is the UK, France, and Germany. Sometimes Spain, because they have a say as well. Why does that matter? If you are a French citizen right now, the election we had in December, bringing Boris into power, has just changed your life. If you're a Czech Republic citizen, a Latvian citizen, any EU country, Cyprus, you name any, the election in the UK just changed your life. Paying attention to election is so important, people, that it matters. What this guy is about to say is what I keep telling people. Yes, neither of them look like us. Fair enough. But as with anything where you have just two choices, one is always better. There's no way you got two choices that you can't decipher out of the two bad. Even if the two choices were terrible, one's going to shoot you or one's going to drown you. You're still going to have a choice. I'd rather be shot. I don't want to be thinking about I'm drowning, I can't breathe. So no matter how bad the two choices can be, there is always one that's better. And that's the reason I'm playing this video on the eve of the US elections, because who we choose is important. So guys, take a look at my last video and listen to what he's saying, and I'll see you on the other side.
Do you think the election will change anything?
I think the election has the power to change a lot of things. I'm not doing cartwheels for either candidate. But I understand that it's just not about the candidates. We are voting on entire administrations. So when we talk about change, we have the chance to change what our affordable housing looks like around the United States. If we get somebody like Cory Booker as the HUD secretary rather than Ben Carson. We have the idea of changing what education looks like if we get somebody like Elizabeth Warren in there instead of Betsy DeVos, right? We got the chance to change what criminal justice looks like if we put Mickey Mouse in there rather than Barr or Jeff Sessions. You know, we got the ability to change a lot of these judges who are appointed federally by the president throughout the United States, who perpetuate mass incarceration, who perpetuate all the problems with the systems, where we know that that disparity there, we know what the folks in jail look like. We know where they come from. So those are my hopes for the election.
Welcome back, guys. Right, I hope this show has helped. You know, those of you who are looking forward to a new dawn, keep your fingers crossed. Guys, I'll see you all on Wednesday, the morning after the night before, and I'll be bringing you guys up to date with everything that's occurred. So in the meantime, take care. All the best. Bye bye now.